Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to So Bad It's Good. Today, we're going to talk about something. I want you to stick with me here. Do not turn the volume down. I know you're scared with what I'm about to say, but just, is the dirty word politics, right? Okay, it's not even Housewives. So I'm not going to say Kathy Hilton or Erica Jane. Those are dirty words as well, but politics. And we're going to talk to somebody that is going to walk us through what we need to know for this Tuesday, because this Tuesday, we get to exercise our rights as citizens to vote, to actually shape our nation in these small ways. It's the only thing that we have. Now, I know this is sometimes a hard topic for people. I really appreciate my audience, you guys, that let me kind of go in different angles and different ways. And there is a way that you can make politics fun. And our guest today has done that. Her account is Real Housewives of Politics, but she does so much more than just this account. But it's kind of how I noticed her at first, because she was doing housewife memes around politics, that's a really brave thing to try to make politics funny or fun, because it's just not sexy, nor should it be. Nelini Stamp, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Ryan. I'm really excited to be on it.
By the way, we've been trying to make this happen for so long, and Nelini must think I am a crazy person, because we try to, this is like BravoCon, all of this, because you were at BravoCon too, weren't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Did you love it?
There were moments of absolute chaos.
Were you in the Great Beverly Hills Stampede in 2022?
Kinda. I mean, by mistakenly, I knew that was going to be packed, so I was like passing people, and all of a sudden everybody started to run, and I was like, oh no.
I love that they then compared it to Fire Fest, but I'm like, my experience was like everybody was happy as heck, but I love that one moment we'll talk about for years, of the Great Stampede of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I guess, talking about politics, it is funny, it's like, who's your favorite housewives is kind of asking which way do you lean, Republican or Democrat? Like, who are your favorite housewives? Which shows do you love? And where did you start in watching reality shows?
Yeah. I mean, I started watching reality television when I was in high school, maybe, and Survivor first came out.
The Richard Hatch. The original.
Yes, exactly. And Eliza, like years later, Eliza becomes my friend, and she runs for office. So it's just like this really weird like world. So I remember watching, Survivor, Big Brother, like all the CBS kind of mainstream ones, and I didn't really get into Housewives fandom until New Jersey, because I grew up in Staten Island, and so I felt really familiar with a lot.
Did they accurately portray the lifestyle of New Jersey?
I mean, New Jersey's a big state. There's like, there's like the Bostons and the Bruce Springsteens of the world, and then there's the Teresa Giudices, like,
Did you see the image I posted today of like Teresa? Remember, so Teresa, Jen Shaw is going to have a photo like this one day. Is Teresa like? I just always think about the time she went into prison and she took prison photos, and she looked like she was in the chair and they were all surrounding her, like the Temptations or something. And she looked like the leader of her prison friend group.
Yeah,
and
she ran that cell block.
I always think about that. I always think about, like, isn't it funny how people just are always like, Teresa kind of runs Jersey in a way in the show, and then she goes into prison, and it looked like, from all intents and purposes, she ran the prison.
Yeah.
So you got into it from Jersey, and then
I stopped. I stopped watching. I got so political. I was like, oh, I'm above this, right? Let me put on my combat boots and go occupy Wall Street, which I did, but I was like, I'm above this. Like there's no, and I wasn't fun anymore as I used to be honest. Like everything was about politics. I mean, look, I think that everything is political, but also you can have so much fun. And I stopped until the pandemic, to be honest. And when I started is Salt Lake City, I was like, this is, because I am obsessed with Mormon.
Yeah, me too. That's why I love Salt Lake, because the foundation is, we haven't seen that on Housewives. The foundation of religion as a backdrop is fascinating, especially, not just Mormon religion, but I was watching this documentary last week, God forbid, about the evangelicals.
The fall,
about the fall.
I just watched that.
It's fascinating. So that's what I truly love about the Housewives. Yeah. We can like these sillier moments, but at the same time, it does give us a peek behind the curtain. That's why I'm kind of bummed that Real Housewives of DC isn't on anymore. Like, I want wouldn't you think now of all times we need a peek behind the curtain of politics?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I think that the closest you've you've come to that. I mean, for me, so I watched Salt Lake City, and then this year binged all of Atlanta and all of Potomac.
Oh my, how are you? Wait, did you ever go outside? Like, was it,
no.
I mean, like, Atlanta's
I had COVID again this year, and so it just got me. That's all I did.
I just a little pro tip. It's so bad, it's a good tip. Now think of COVID usually as just a way to binge shows. Like if you want to try to put a positive spin on it, like I did it last time, I finally watched Stranger Things, and I was like, okay, I guess I will watch Stranger Things with COVID now. So you did something useful with your time. Now, I find it interesting that you said you became really political. What, like, because you have like a bunch of different titles of what you do. Can you walk me through? Because I know the Real Housewives of Politics is a funny thing that uses Housewives memes to like kind of get out the vote and to express certain things. But what is your actual job? What do you do?
Yeah. So I am the director of strategy nationally for this organization called the Working Families Party. We started out by kind of critiquing the two-party system, but realizing that like you can't just build a third party so it could spoil votes, I know.
It's like I believe in certain elements of like when these third parties pop up, but unfortunately then it just sways these the chips. That's what it becomes like Survivor. Politics has become a game. And that's what it doesn't really become about us, the people anymore. It becomes about a strategy for these politicians on both sides. It's frustrating.
Yeah, and it becomes about their careers, right? It's not about actually like what you can do. It's like my individual trajectory is
it's like how it's like we make these politicians stars. They should just be like, I don't want my politician on Twitter. I don't want listen, I love when AOC owns somebody on Twitter, but at the same time, I don't even want it to get to that point. Right. I hate that we're even in that, like everything is this kind of like who is wittier, who is harder, who is raising more money, who is, and unfortunately, that's what you do. You organize, so you organize based around a two-party system or critiquing it.
Well, we organize, so we actually, in New York, for 20 years, we actually have a ballot line. You can vote for Democrats on our ballot line. It tells them, so about 400,000 people voted for Joe Biden and Kamala on the Working Families Party line for them, and it adds to their total. So this is a thing that existed. It's called fusion voting. It exists in a few states, so we use that. Once we saw the Tea Party rise, which the Tea Party, for all intents and purposes, wasn't a political party in this. The Tea Party wasn't a political party of like, you voted, but they like had candidates. They had an identity. They trained candidates. They trained people. They ran campaigns. So what we do in states like, I live in Pennsylvania, we recruit progressive candidates to run either against Democrats in primaries or against a Republican. We as long as they have
fascinating. So it's about both. So you're more of the progressive values, and it's not so this is not, and that's what I want to say too, is that this is not about Democrats and Republicans. This is about actually voting for things that are going to help our future and our kids and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
we care about minimum wage raises. We care about minimum wage raises. We care about the climate.
I mean, wait, are you telling me climate change is real? Do not come on this show and tell me climate change is real, because I'll end the interview. Like that is some hooey.
I mean, if you live on the West Coast, you should know that climate change is real.
God. You know what's so funny even about the West Coast? I know this is going wildly off track like I usually do, guys, but I was talking to somebody once that said, you guys, like she was like a science teacher and she was explaining like the earthquake lines and stuff like that. Yeah. She's like, one day California will just fall off. Like it's not even a, like, maybe it will, like it will, you guys will, like, it will fall off one day the way. And she was explaining like the lines and how they're like jagged. And it's like
fault lines. Yeah,
the fault lines. And she was explaining fault lines to me, and I'm a dummy. And I'm just like, and the funny thing is, I just choose to live there. I'm still, I guess I'll just fall one day,
Yeah, you're just like, man, I might just go in the fall.
Okay, so you're about, you're working towards these issues that you believe in, and that's what you're promoting candidates. So for us as like lazy Americans, I count myself as one of those people. And I will say I have already voted. I voted by mail. I was very proud of myself. I have the sticker. I've not shown it online yet, but it will go up on Instagram very proudly on Tuesday. Now, we're at a point now, what do we need to do if we haven't voted yet? It's today's Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a chance for us to still vote? Like, we vote on Tuesday, right? But like,
yes.
Can we vote it by mail? So can you walk me through the voting process?
Yes. Every state is different. So I always say this, we don't have one election, we have 50 elections, and then all the territories as well that the US has. So every state is different, but in a lot of states, every state you can definitely vote on Tuesday in person. It's really great to make a voting plan, to just think about it. That's the more likely you think about it and say, even if you write it down for a second on your notes app or whatever, like whatever you do to remind yourself. Sometimes I send myself a voice note where you're like, I'm going to vote between this and this, between getting my nails done and whatever, right? Like, or
what's our best way? But what's our best way to get real information about these candidates? Like, how do we know? Like, that's what my thing too is. There's so much, and we even find this with Housewives of like what happened in the Sprinter van. We have this person's word and this person's word.
Yes.
How do we find out the real information? Like, can we just look this up on Google? Is there some place we can go where people tell us the truth?
Yeah.
Because I feel like lies. We're just able to lie now. People just allow lying in politics. Where can we find out information?
Yeah, you can always go. So where we have a Working Families, we're not in every state. You can go to workingfamilies.org and we tell you exactly why we endorse these candidates. You can look it up by your zip code. You can put in your zip code and it tells you your ballot, like your precinct, your polling precinct, and it also tells you who's on the ballot and what they stand for. You can also go in a more broader expansion to voteprochoice.org. That has a whole, like, just where candidates stand on women's rights, on abortion, on reproductive healthcare and reproductive justice, and a lot of economic issues as well.
Wait, are you one of those people that think women deserve healthcare?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Are you? Oh, yeah. Wow.
I know.
That's huge.
I know. I really think that women deserve healthcare. I also believe that anybody should be able to do anything to their bodies without
so you believe in body autonomy, like that?
Yeah, because I really don't think I want to call the mayor.
Yeah, as a white male, it's amazing. As a white male, I can do anything to my body at any point. I've done too many bad things to my body already, and I've never been questioned about it. Like, I feel like I wish I had been questioned about some of the things I've done to my body. Yeah, but, these issues right now. That's why it's so huge, and it's worth the Google search, or it's worth looking up these people. Like, that's my thing. Is like, I'm not trying to like tell people to. I don't know. Like, LA is really frustrating too, because we've got this race between Karen Bass and Rick Caruso. And, listen, I hate to even say this, but I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect candidate. I don't think there's ever going to be
100%.
Somebody that like is 100% lines up with my values, and it makes me sad to say. But if comparing it to Housewives, like I said, like, I love Sutton this season. 2 seasons from now, she might not line up with how I feel, and I'm going to turn against her.
Of course.
But what I get frustrated about, and I don't know if you can explain to us, and I just get so, because Rick Caruso, he's a billionaire, he created like the Grove in LA and all of these places, and he has so much money to put into his campaign. So if you're in LA, you're hit by Rick Caruso ads or anti-Karen Bass ads. And by the way, Karen Bass has ads against Rick Caruso, but I think the outspending is on Rick Caruso's part, but he's also got, and this is what's confusing to me, he's got the celebrity vote. He's got the Kardashians. He's got Paltrow. He's got all of these celebrities speaking out for him. And by the way, you guys, when that happens, that's by design. That's not just somebody randomly, like Katy Perry tweeted. Like, I'm like, since Katy Perry, who barely lives in Los Angeles and doesn't experience, like, I mean, I think Kim Kardashian, it's like, you can't.
Kyle just posted about Kyle Richards and Kyle and Jordan.
I just saw that.
God. We're at the fundraiser. Yeah, we're at a fundraiser for Rick Caruso.
Listen, and guys, your vote is your vote. But my vote, I align more with Karen Bass. I'm not saying that. And by the way, it was frustrating too, because what I felt with Rick Caruso, and I know this is getting a little inside baseball, you guys, he used to be a Republican that then ran on Democrat, but still is, like a hidden Republican. Yeah. Like, these games that these politicians play, I think we're so scared because of like our presidential elections. Like, we don't even know if our vote counts anymore, if voting is safe. Like, so we look the stuff up on Google and we do the research. We go to, like, sometimes you have a district and you can lead us in the right way. And then we go to how do we find out our polling place? Like, how do we find that out?
You can go every state has if you go like vote PA or vote like CA, whatever, like if you say vote in your state online, there is a board of elections or the Secretary of State's office. The Secretary of State is the person who administers election, like making sure that elections happen in your, it's different than the national Secretary of State, which is like international relations. Your local Secretary of State is responsible for elections, because we have elections. We're one of the only countries in the world where we have elections all the time. Like there are countries,
it feels like it is all the time,
but it is all the time. It really is. Like in 4 months from this election, Wisconsin's going to be voting for their Supreme Court, like their state Supreme Court in 4 months, in like April. Like,
see, that's what it never ends. That's what's the funny thing is that I want to, that's why, I don't talk about it on my show all the time, even though, I'll say little things here and there, but I think it's really important because it's one of those things that we have the luxury of. Like, I'm almost think like voting is, not to be too fruity about it, like a gift, is that we get to try to decide the way that we want to live. And we've seen how, our country's being hit in so many different ways within and all that stuff. And like, I think it's like, how do we get people excited? How do we get people, how do we get it like, watching a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, that kind of energy to get to the polls, to do your actual civic duty? How do we, like, how do you even, you get down? Like, do we have, this is my question I wrote. I was like, do we have reason to still have hope? Like I ask my dad this all the time, because sometimes I get really bummed out or I'll just get depressed. I mean, about my own life and about the country and about Housewives, but like, do you have hope? Do we have reasons to have hope?
I have to, because look, every great, we are in a time period that if you have studied history or even are just a nerd, like I didn't go to college, I couldn't afford it. Like I just am a nerd of things. And besides Star Wars, Housewives, and Marvel.
Oh no, you're into Star Wars too? Yeah. I hear that Andor is excellent. Is that true?
And it's amazing.
Hear that it's, because I was getting like, I didn't love Obi-Wan Kenobi, I got to tell you, but then I heard Andor's on like another level.
It's on another, please watch it. It's amazing.
You guys, I have to remind them sometimes I'm a geek of all things. Like I'm like super into Batman and Star Wars. Okay, anyways.
Oh yeah. Anyway, we can go all the,
you're a geek.
I have hope. I'm a geek. So when you think about where we are right now, and like it is very similar to where we were. The point was before, fascists in Europe, both before Nazi Germany, but also Mussolini and Francoism, right? It's like in the period before, this is very similar, where you have people who are like, the point is to make you lose hope. The point is to have a bunch of propaganda that is disinformation about certain groups of people, to say that like, you can't trust these systems and these people are to blame. And I just remember when I think about that, I think about how dark it can get. I get really, I'm like, oh no, I lose hope. But when I think about all of the people who fought and all the people who survived and all the people who, through every moment in history, through dark times, through the U.S. Civil War, through Nazi Germany, through dictatorships in all of Latin America, people fought, people won, and people were resilient. And I just do think that that's a thing about humans that I do love. I don't like a lot about humans, including myself, but that's why I go to therapy. That's why
I'm disappointed in myself on a daily basis. I don't even know about you. Like I'm disappointed in you guys sometimes, and me mainly. I mean, but that's the one thing that sometimes it just feels like hopeless, because it feels like it's never ending. It feels like even if your candidate wins, 2 years later, the midterms are coming up, and that's where we're at now. We're looking at possibly a swing in the House and the Senate and all of these things that a lot of people like. I just, it's so funny. It's like we pay these people to. I feel like I get frustrated. Like we shouldn't have to talk about this. We pay these people to represent us and all this stuff, but we have to keep, their hands are out all the time. That's what I was saying. Like right now I've gotten more text messages from politicians in the last 2 days than I've received from girls in the last 35, 40 years of my life. Like, I mean, like they're all hitting me up right now. They're like, Ryan, they're always, and they're dead. Like, it's me, Adam Schiff. I need you. And I'm like, it's like,
I love the like emergency.
Nancy's always like, it's like 3 a.m. Are you up? I need you. I need your money. And I'm like, we already pay you to do like what? My whole thing is stop bugging us. Like it's just become this big game. And that's where I guess sometimes I lose hope, because I'm like, I want to watch Housewives. I want to watch my stupid reality series that I love so much and talk pop culture. And I find it scary that our pop culture and our government is now, it's like they're one and the same. Like pop culture is government now. Like,
I mean, we elected we in the 80s
reality star.
Well, in the 80s, we elected an actor
Reagan,
from California that was a Democrat and then got married to Nancy Reagan. And that's a whole drama.
Yeah, by the way, the Nancy Ronald Reagan stories, you guys, are fascinating because she also did trust very much in psychics. And like, there's proof that psychics did decide some of our foreign policy at one point. So, which is, by the way, that's the most Housewives thing. Yeah. That's the big, like, that's what I love politics, because you could actually look at it like Housewives storylines and they would line up. Yeah, but that's what I said, like, even with Trump, like, I watched every damn episode of The Apprentice and Celebrity Apprentice because I was a reality show junkie. So, and I loved it. He made me laugh. I thought, oh my God, this guy's just.
I used to be like, you're fired as a joke.
I was like, what a dummy. Oh my God. But I never thought, like, if one day he could run for president. I watched it, like I watched Housewives, where I think it's kind of funny. Like, this guy's like, says Brett Michaels is good to run one of his businesses, the lead singer of Poison, or Arsenio Hall. Like, I'm like, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, that guy, he wants to be a president? Like, that still blows me away. And it's like, we had a poll this year that I read that the only person that they could foresee beating Trump in the future was The Rock. And I was like, Dwayne actually had to put out a PR release saying, I am fortunately not running for president. And I'm like, yeah, dude, of course you shouldn't be, like, but that's where we live in, is that they said he would have won.
Yeah.
The Rock.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're in a time where people don't trust politicians, because here's the thing. I think we need to, because of all this money that has been in politics, right? Like, people are just buying votes. And so for me, I don't vote for I do vote for some people who I really believe in and can hope change things. I also vote as an organizer for who my opponent's going to be. Who do I want to advocate? Who do I need to be against the other side of the table? And I know that these folks who believe that the 2020 election was stolen, that believe that women shouldn't have rights to their bodies, or none of us should, are not the people who are going to listen to any of like grassroots advocates and organizers.
That's what I hate, is that they made up their mind. Like, I feel like there's a percent, like, I'm willing to like listen to theories about like ballot stealing, and I've read, like, I'm not as ignorant as I come off on this show. Like, I actually do, I'm not as dumb as I like to portray myself. But like, listen, I've looked into it, like, it makes me sad that it's like we still hold on to this big lie. We're pouring millions and millions of dollars that could be going towards groups that actually need help, and we're pouring it like to just prove this one big, like, that's a lie at the end of the day. I'm so sorry, but it's a lie. And listen, he won the first time. Like, I'm not saying that was stolen. Like, he won.
Right. Like, nobody said that.
And by the way, like, like, it's leading up to look like he might run again, and then it's going to be DeSantis and him. But like I said, it is your vote. I just get upset that we waste so much time and money on BS instead of like these real issues. Women lost their right to their own body autonomy this year in the Supreme Court. Like, there are actual issues. Like, we're sliding back. And remember, you guys, sorry, I'm really passionate. Remember, there is a separation of church and state. And that's very important. I believe in a God, but I also believe in the separation of church and state. And if you want to get into the forefathers, they put that there for a reason, right?
Yeah. Dr. Heavenly said this the other day. I mean, I thought the reunion was amazing. And I thought that Dr. Heavenly was like, look, I'm very religious. I wouldn't get it myself, but there's nobody should tell me or nobody else to do. And I'm like, yes, Dr. Heavenly, like, we could all have whatever you believe in, but that does not mean, particularly with religion, that is about our laws and our bodies. Like, that's why we have the separation of church and state. But also, that is why we live in this free country. And I'm sorry, but like, freedom is to be able to control your bodies, not to have the government control you, not to like, hey, hi, Mr. President, do you want to come to my like fibroids appointment? Like, that's what they want. Like, like, hi.
Well, no, did you say, wait, who was it that said a couple weeks ago that Dr. Oz said it should be between the woman and their politician, their governing body? Like, there was they should be between me, the woman, and whoever got that.
And I was like, wow.
I was like, that's what. Could you imagine? You guys just go with me there. That's another great Housewives storyline where Dr. Oz is a husband of, and women have to call him to go over their healthcare plans for their own private parts. Like because I think like Dr. Oz has pushed like tummy, like Dr. Oz has pushed tummy tea like the Kardashians for most of their lives. Like I know it's like this is just about power for Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz doesn't. I sometimes wonder if Oprah like ever is like, what did I do? Like because like
she endorsed Fetterman the other day.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she was on a podcast and they were like, and she was like, and you best believe that if I was voting in Pennsylvania, I'd be voting for John Fetterman. And of course,
because Dr. Oz was good on TV and in politics and in TV, like that's your greatest sin in politics is to not play well on TV, to not, like we've had brilliant men and women in this country that aren't good on TV and they don't, that's why people like Trump. And if you're like, they're charming, they're funny, they talk like you and me, but we're in like Housewives. Is there examples that you can point out where Housewives, I know you mentioned Dr. Heavenly, but how they've handled politics over the years?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the Potomac cast is probably the most political, but it's been like, what a lot of people don't know is that Giselle's father was the first Black elected official in the state of Texas for 100 years. Like,
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got elected in like the 60s or 70s, but there hadn't been a Black elected state official since the 1800s. So like that, so she was raised in like this political thing. I believe Robin Dixon's mother ran for office. So they have actually or she was carrying some Sheila Dixon stuff. Cause of course we went into a hole when we were building Real Housewives of Politics. We were like, you have to, what's the map?
That's what I mean. That's kind of, I want to know the map. Like, it doesn't shock me that like Kyle's like going for Rick Cruz. It doesn't shock, like, listen, like, and these are characters on a TV show and they are who they are. Like they're worried about their own personal wealth. At the end of the day, they want to make as much money as they can, as like they're not looking out for us. Like we have to look out for our own selves and what that means. I was thinking about, did you mess with Real Housewives of New York at all?
Yeah. As a born and raised New Yorker, it was definitely.
You said you did Jersey, but did you do, because New York, I remember in terms of politics that one season when the 2016 election with Trump, of like watching that go down. I think it was Carol Radziwill and like going like, wow, this was very interesting how they treated this. And then of course, in this last season of Roni, you got into some political discussions between Ebony Williams and Ramona, and where Ramona was like, like at her house, just like going crying to laughing to like, I'm not listening. It's wild. Like, why do we, and
you have Portia who got really active, right? Portia actually did civil disobedience in Atlanta and was like,
got arrested.
Yeah, she got arrested. And I know the people she got arrested with, and I actually know them. I'm like, oh, those are my friends that, did those actions in Kentucky. So
how do we, the fanaticism or even the passion, that like we have, I think there's a healthy, I might be a little kooky, but there's a healthy passion here. But a lot of people out there, they are like losing their lives. We are getting into a really scary territory in terms of fanaticism and where people are hurting people. People are threatening people. People are, and I'm not talking about protesting. I'm talking about actual people scared to go to vote because we've made it this pressure cooker situation where it's not even about the issues anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not about these ballot initiatives and like that. We're fighting, like there's this weird civil war happening again, that it's like, we're fighting each other and not even paying attention to these issues that they're just sliding through because they've got us pitted against each other.
Yeah. It's really hard. Look, somebody went into Nancy Pelosi's house and beat up Paul Pelosi, and there's a bunch of conspiracy theories right now on it that I can't even touch.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like everything's a conspiracy theory now too, guys. At some point, certain things are real, and that's what I like. Like, listen, I'm a living, breathing human. I understand also because I love blind items, and I love to believe Harry Styles got salad dressing and broke Jason Sudeikis. Like I love rumors and all that stuff. But at a certain point, we are encouraging a fanaticism on potentially both sides. But I will say it seems heavily Republican in a lot of ways. The guy that broke into Pelosi's house, wanted to bust Nancy's kneecaps, wheel her in front of the Senate. And also it turns out, you guys, wasn't even a legal citizen of the United States of America.
God.
Like wasn't even allowed to be here.
Yeah.
But what's going on? Like,
I mean, I think that like, here's the thing. I feel like we are so polarized. But what has happened is, and I think this is really interesting when you think about fandoms, is that the right wing in particular has radicalized fandoms actually and it started with like Gamergate. If you go all the way back to Gamergate, I don't know if folks remember, but there was this woman who was a gamer who basically said like, look, I don't like the way that I'm treated. I have to sometimes pretend to be a man. And she got like canceled, in quotation marks. She like had to go offline. Like she blocked her Twitter. She got off of Twitter, and you can see that is some of the foundations of what we know as QAnon today. A lot of these men, a lot in particular, it's a lot of lone. When you think about it, when you go out there, it's like this, it's a lot of lone men. It's not like a group of people who are doing these acts like in Uvalde or in Buffalo. It's a lone man, and they're using fandom. The Buffalo shooter was on Twitch. And so for me, like, part of the reason we got inspired to, organize in fandom places is that fandoms are where communities are at now, no matter where you are across the country. And it is where a lot of things, because fandoms are about theories, but they're about theories about the TV shows. Like I used to do all the who's gonna get the Iron Throne, on Reddit, and I'm like House of the Dragon, like Team of the Blacks, versus the.
But it's interesting. I mean, you like that. I mean, thinking of the Bravo community, like it is interesting. I always point out there's like two. I see I can play in both sandboxes, but it seems like there's people that watch those shows. We watch the reality shows and they take it as fact. They believe everything that they're seeing. They don't question anything. And then there's people that I also watch it with like humor, where I kind of get this dark comedy vibe from all Housewives shows, where it's like, I cannot believe, we're arguing about Kathy getting wasted in a sprinter. Like there's a silliness to it 100%. To me, but there are also people that take Housewives so seriously that they can't even laugh at it. And I find that interesting, just even in terms of our politics. It seems to be very similar there seems to be people that like kind of want the world to go in a certain direction, and they're kind of full of love for their fellow man. Yeah. And then there's people that are like, no, I want it locked down. I don't want the world to change from this point on. It's we feel threatened, we feel threatened, and we want the world to stop changing. And I get that. It's just like wanting the Housewives. Like, I want the same cast from Roni season 3 forever. And you realize that you have to change, like the world changes and you either change with it or you don't. But like, I don't know, like it's all about like forward movement and progression. And like, actually we live in a country that's so lucky because we have the ability, if we want to do so much good.
Yeah. And I think, and then that's what's hanging out in the balance right now. Like we are, I usually throw around some, words lightly, but we are facing people who, the Republican governor said, the candidate for Republican governor said, if I win, Republicans will be in charge of the state for the rest of time. These are people who do not want democracy. And that's the scary part right now. It's like, I actually, I have a lot of people that I've grown up with, especially growing up in Staten Island, who are of different political ideologies in my family as well. And I'll debate
in my family as well. We're coming up on holidays, and those are always big discussions that we try to stay away from. Right.
And I'll actually debate, like my mom's wife, my mother, my stepmother is, she voted for Trump, which is a whole other thing. But, I debate her on stuff. We talk about all these things. And at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I won't tolerate, obviously, racism as a Black woman and Afro-Latina and all that stuff. And I won't tolerate specific, like real hate. I also really won't tolerate anti-democracy. You can see, like, we can think about different things in the economy. And I know that, like, I know where I'm thinking about it, and where the study that I have been through is like, I feel like it's right, but I could also be wrong. That's fine.
Yeah.
With anti-democracy, I just cannot believe, like, I cannot it's just not what this country was founded on. Even all of the horrors that this country was founded on, that was the one shining light, was democracy, to be able to change your law.
It's our special gift. It's our special like, we have this and so many other people don't. But also, that's what I was like, democracy it's not promised. It can go away, and that's why if we don't exercise our right to vote, it really does. And the thing is, so like, if you're passionate about something, like Nelini is, go out and do something about it. Tell somebody about it. Like, take your next door neighbor, take your friend. I hate talking to people, but like, if you talk to people that are close to you, take them with you to go vote. Like, really bring people out there, or try to get people passionate about it, so we can enjoy the stupidity of Housewives from a free and democratic society. Like, I mean, that's, our greatest export right now, I always believe, is pop culture, and I want it to stay that way. But listen, I'm going to do what it takes to like try to make sure we all can live as one. And if it means talking about politics sometimes on a pop culture podcast, that's what we're going to do. What else are you going into Tuesday? So go vote. You could have voted by mail already. Is there anything else to be looking out for? Is there anything to be watching? What else do we need to be doing, even leading up to Tuesday and beyond?
So, I mean, I think it's really important to go vote, and just like, whatever you're interacting with, whether you're swiping on Tinder or you're, or whatever it is, tell other people to go vote.
Wait, are you telling people to go on dating apps and tell the people on the Hinge site to go, hey, let's meet up for drinks, or let's meet up to vote?
I like somebody who can get down with democracy. So,
by the way, you guys, everybody change their Hinge profiles and all that. Like, I like to get down with democracy.
That definitely used to be on my dating profiles. I have a partner now, but it used to be on my dating profile. Definitely, I get down with democracy. But yeah, I think it's really important. And then, it's going to be an interesting few weeks, to be honest with everyone. There are a lot of legislators who want to, or, potential legislators who will not accept the results.
That's the other thing. It's looking like the way there looks to be a red wave, or a rumored red wave, or whatever. But if not, then I just get nervous, and they're going to just say it's stolen anyway. Like, I get scared about the after effects. It's like, if you compare it to Housewives, it's like, I get scared once the reunions start, because it's going to be like how they actually explain the season. And if people are going to be telling the truth, or if you're going to hear Rinna just make up just blatant lies, like, you just don't know. So it's like a really scary, and we've seen our country like start protesting or get into like brutal fights and all that. So it's every election feels pressured.
Yeah. I always say that like election day is like the season finale of the Housewives. And then like the weeks after are the reunion episodes, where like you never know. You're like, I don't know what's going to happen next week on a reunion episode, because something might happen and some receipts might come out, and I
always get worried about Steve Kornacki around this time. Is he healthy? Is he able to do the boards on MSNBC?
We love our Steve Kornacki. And
but so, listen, also I'll watch Fox News too, just to see what everybody's doing. Also, I want to get I don't try to just limit what but I want to try to understand I think that's the frustrating thing. It's like trying to understand. I keep going back to that damn Sprinter Aspen thing, but I'm really trying to understand like how this all went down. But that's the same thing sometimes with politics. I truly try to understand both sides. Like if you're voting this way, tell me why you're voting this way. What is your belief? Because I want you to have beliefs. I want you to have your own beliefs. I just hope you're educated on those beliefs. Yeah. And you really aren't just getting suckered into something that you'll regret later down the line once freedoms are removed. If that makes sense.
Exactly. Like, we just need to make sure that people, like, again, like, if you're for democracy, like, continue to exercise your votes, and then like understand that. And I really do appreciate that there were a lot of people who have said that, the election in 2020 was stolen, but there are a lot of people whose party is that party who have said, no, that wasn't. And, and despite, me probably having no common ground with Liz Cheney, besides this,
how did Liz Cheney end up looking like a hero? She looked like a lone hero out there going like, I mean, that's what's so crazy, you guys, is Dick Cheney's daughter, also like a politician herself, like very hardcore Republican. I mean, and by the way, remember, like, look at Republican beliefs. The Republican Party is swayed so far from what the Republican Party used to be. Ronald Reagan would be ashamed of this Republican Party if you want to go back even to that. Like, it has changed so much. But Liz Cheney in the January 6th hearings is just like literally like, it's like John Krasinski looking to the camera in The Office. Like, are you like, after Dwight did something crazy, Liz Cheney literally is like, what the hell is happening? Like, everybody just is going with the lie because it's the easiest thing to go with,
Yes, exactly. Everybody's going with the lie. Easy thing to go with. But so, yeah, it is. So I do appreciate so I just would say, for those of you who do believe in democracy and believe it, we might not agree on everything, but we agree on the fundamentals. Like, it is going to be important to speak out post-election day when folks are, I think we should still make sure every vote is counted. It's always the first thing to do. Every vote should be counted. Everybody's vote should be counted until it is done. And then, if there is a clear winner, there is a winner.
Yeah, that's it.
Period.
There's no crying in baseball.
And losses across the board, but let's stick with facts and not allow people because that will be really, really bad if they're going to continue to just not accept results. Then we won't have a democracy.
Yeah, then it's like, why are we bothering having? Well, like that's what I get scared.
Spent in the election, like
that's why I wanted to have you on, is because I want people to not be scared to vote. Either vote your heart out. Either way, like, and I know it's scary. I know it's like so annoying that you have to even listen to this or hear. I get it. I get it. Like, believe me, I get it. But like, it's just kind of one of those things that we're lucky to be able to do that I wanted to highlight. And I know I don't highlight it that much. That's why I like try to take me seriously. I ask you, like, thank you guys so much for always being the most open audience. And I totally know that we have disagreements sometimes when it comes to political beliefs and all that. And that's okay. Like, I don't want to fall into like a hate spiral for anything. I want to hate reality stars. That's who I want to hate. I want to hate, Erica Jane. Like, that's who I want to be free to hate. Not you or me. So anyways, what, Nelini, how do we support you? Like, where do we go to follow? Where do we go to research? Like, tell us all of it.
Of course. So you can always, especially for this community, but also just in general, Real Housewives of Politics, it's RHOPOL.
I'll put that on the show description too, you guys.
Yeah. Where you can find we don't get too serious. We make it fun. We use housewives moments, and it's fun. And you can also understand what's going on. We try to do a little bit of education about the stories of the moment. And you can also always text WFP to 30403. Again, text WFP to 30403. You can get your ballot.
Here, let me see how easy this is right now. Let me try this on my phone.
Yeah, there you go.
So what do? I open the text.
Yeah, you open, and then the number is 30403.
30403. Okay.
And
then what do I put the text as?
Text WFP.
WFP. Okay. Now, I just got a dick pic. This is not good. No, I'm joking. It says, welcome to Working Families Party periodic mobile updates. It was that simple, folks. So that's another thing that you can do. And, always, information is power. Google is a great search engine. Stay off the dark web. Don't believe in conspiracy theories, or if you do, just believe them about Bravo shows. And Real Housewives of Politics. I'll put anything else that we're forgetting, Nelini?
Go vote. Don't forget to
vote. That's the whole point. That's the whole kit and caboodle. I'll have Nelini back on when we can actually talk about really a fun specific episode that goes far away from politics, because you seem so flippin' fun that I'm I'm curious, actually, going back, is that when you said you were Occupy Wall Street and all that, and you realized you weren't fun anymore, so how do you stay fun doing, is it watching all of the Housewives? Like, how do you stay fun even when I feel more serious than back then in Occupy Wall Street days?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's definitely watching, not just Housewives, but just watching things that and being in community, watching all the new Marvel shows that come out. I'm upset. I even
Wakanda Forever next week, you guys.
I know. I even watched the bad Captain America one, or the Falcon, which is, it was
the Falcon.
It was not that good, but Loki was amazing. And so, I think I just like get into those communities, keep fun. I also have a chorus that I'm a part of that we sing, we go on tour.
Like Heather Gay and Real Housewives of Salt Lake.
I want Heather and I to like meet. We should do a collab. I think our chorus, her chorus would be a great collab.
I was talking about the show on Friday is that like what, and this is maybe a good question to end on, is that they always, these housewives will always be like, what activity did you used to do in your past that we can actually make a show out of? And, and like, Heather's like, I guess I used to sing. And like, they're like, what if you did a choir? Like, okay. And I was like, for me, I would probably make people like housewives do like Shakespeare monologues because I have like a Shakespeare background, you know, and I'd like want to see like teach Ramona how to do Hamlet. What would be your housewives? Like, what would be your choir?
We would do like a community theater, like Broadway production, but like a community theater. Like we would do like, if it was like, you know, Guys and Dolls, Heather Gay would probably be Adelaide, you know, like Meredith Marks would be like Sarah Vaughan. It would be fantastic.
It would be funny actually to like have a Housewives season where that's the whole thing of the season. We're putting on a show, like Waiting for Guffman, and then the finale like is the final show. But then you have all the other storylines go along with it. But like that would kind of, I think we just came up with something amazing right there.
I know. Producers, you can always call me. I always got great ideas.
I know. By the way, hopefully this idea is on the ballot on Tuesday. Vote for it. Nelini, Sam, thank you so much for being here. And you guys, the final message, go vote.
Yeah.